Hey Scorpio, welcome to your January 2021 reading. This is a general reading. I don't ask any specific question, like I don't make it a love reading or anything like that. What comes out, and it's just the messages you're meant to hear from Spirit. So hopefully you hear what you want to hear. So let's jump right into it. In the past, I've got Queen of Pentacles upright and the Five of Wands in reverse. In the present is Six of Wands upright, and in the future is the Devil upright. So don't get alarmed. The bottom of the deck story enlightened me quite a bit to what I think this means. A lot of you, Eight of Swords in reverse, to the world, left a long cycle ended by your own choice after a very protracted long amount of time of sort of being trapped in thought, but then you decided to just get out of your head and take action. Eight of Swords in reverse. So moving from the World to the Four of Pentacles to the Ten of Swords in reverse to Justice was the bottom of the deck after the shuffle. Tells me it's kind of like a karmic cycle has ended. The scales have been balanced out of that situation. You had to readjust your finances even out of that. There were definitely some losses, emotional pain and trauma, obviously. It was a really, really heavy cycle. But it looks like it's been purged. And the other lesson in justice being here is realizing that the actions of this month are going to be very important in the future. Things that go down now are going to be seeding, if you will, the whole rest of the year. So really, really be careful that you are maintaining a balanced perspective and maintaining your character in all situations. I have said this before, I am no astrologer, but I think it is later on in this month, in January, around the third week. It's sticking out to me like around the 20th, 22nd, something like that. I seem to recall hearing that, what is it? Mars is going through. There's something that can cause volatility with ourselves and others in that time frame. So just be careful in your interactions with other people, is all I'm saying. And make sure that you don't go out of character and that you don't say things that you would regret, because it could potentially carry on through the year much farther than you imagine. So things that we do this month definitely can have far-reaching implications is point one. With Five of Pentacles in the past, or I'm sorry, the Queen of Pentacles in the past with the Five of Wands in reverse, this is deciding to move away from instability, fighting, imbalances, fighting for something anymore. It's stopping something, it's leaving something behind. It is letting go of an ideal. It is taking a different path than you ever have before, for sure. And it's just looking for that good stability. Wanting the simple things having to do with love, relationships, that kind of stuff that you weren't previously fulfilled in with this Five of Wands in reverse. Stand your ground came out in reverse in relation to the past. So I'm inclined to think that that's that energy of not fighting for something anymore. It may be leaving a relationship, could be not fighting for a friendship. Like maybe you have a friendship that you're constantly having misunderstandings with somebody, or you keep explaining your boundaries and the person keeps pushing it, something along that lines. Maybe you're not fulfilled at your job anymore, especially with the Pentacles there. Maybe you've decided to move on to something different and you're in that transition right now. So moving into the present, we've got the Six of Wands upright, gorgeous, wonderful energy, awesome. If this is in connection to, let's say, leaving a relationship or a breakup or a change in a divorce, a change in your long-term path status, a job change, any of that stuff. Wonderful energy of success. You are on to a new cycle. But for continued growth, you need to make sure that you kind of don't get too out of touch with what's important. With co-create coming out in reverse, we'll discuss this toward the end of the reading, but co-create in reverse is kind of speaking to not co-creating with the divine, with spirit, with the spiritual side of things. Especially with the devil being in the future, that can be like an imbalance. Material, okay, I'll put it this way: obsession with material things, overwork too, and just being too fervent in your efforts to further yourself or achieve what it is that you want. It can be like this megalomaniacal kind of energy. Or in the relationship context, it can be obsessive, lustful, lower energy vibrations. I think that's going to be for very few of you. This can be a Capricorn person. We have fire signs on the board. We've got earth signs. We have air signs in the bottom of the deck. Very specifically, Libra with Justice here. The World, that's all the fixed energy. So that's Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus. But, okay, outside of, obsessive relationship energy, which some of you may be entering into, or some very lustful temptation situation. Now, if we're talking about business and career, be really, really careful. Because this is almost like, it's workaholism, but it can be bad deals. And it can also be erroneously feeling chained to something. I'll put it that way. If you get too imbalanced here with this success, so basically if you kind of let something go to your head right now, you can end up in such an imbalanced state that it leads you to major confusion later, to where you succumb to the illusion of being chained to something. It can be a job, it can be a relationship. This can be stuck energy, feeling stuck, okay? Partnerships and alliances came up, so be very, very careful too in a business context or even in a relationship context of signing anything, agreeing to anything, becoming under contract, okay? Be very, very careful with contracts, read things. I mean, that's kind of a general you should do anyway, but especially for sure this month and leading into February, don't sign anything without reading the fine print. Maybe even have an attorney look it over, make sure that you are well advised and understand the ins and outs of every single thing that you are agreeing to. There's an energy of paperwork potentially being an issue this month, in a very general context of the astrology. I think we're going into Mercury retrograde soon. Yeah, so I mean, there's that. That's always a thing. I think the Neptune energies too, there's a lot of signs that are kind of under Neptune transit. Neptune came out in your reading. Neptune can sort of make things hazy, and you'll see what you want to see in situations. There can be that with jobs, relationships, okay? Now, something else I want to address in this particular reading. This Six of Wands can be a return of an energy that could turn toxic. Just going to put it that way. With the devil in the future, could turn toxic. But I do also want to say that the devil in the future is robust material success, if that's what you're looking for. It can be, I mean, the Six of Wands and the devil energy together is almost the energy of fame, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know how many of you that would apply to, but it's if you understand what I'm trying to say, it's that energy of fame, major success, entrepreneurial spirit, expansion in business, expansion in your professional field, okay? But it's also that energy of like married to the job. You know, that's very Capricornian. The devil is the Capricorn card. What is it here? We had Taurus energy come out, which is here. So some of you may be dealing with a Taurus. We had the 4th house, which I'll get into these in a second. And as I showed before, the Neptune card. So this month, this reading is definitely going to be focusing around these type of issues. So is there anything in your life that, like, somebody that's come from the past that maybe you're idealizing, or a past relationship that you're looking back and idealizing? Are you idealizing the idea of something that you would like to do? Like, if you are really, really working hard to get somewhere, are you looking at what it is that you want to do in a very realistic way? Since Neptune came out, it puts a fog over this reading, basically. So be aware that there can be confusion, there can be haziness, there can be not necessarily seeing things for what they are. This can also speak to, with Neptune, something needing to be sacrificed for a gain in a different direction, or really, really needing to, with finality, let go of something. So there is that. You may be trading off something unfulfilling, like I was saying, with like a past job. Maybe you've decided now to move into somewhere else and you're seeking your fulfillment, but then you end up kind of tied into, potentially, you could be tied into a job that is a lot more demanding. So just make sure you're aware of what you're getting yourself into. Same thing with relationships. If you're leaving one, you may tie yourself into something that's far more demanding, or toxic, or confusing even. This reading is definitely heavily financial in nature. It seems like, it feels like it's very material, physical, practical. And for some of you, it may not be necessarily finances. It might be moving. It might be physically removing yourself from a place, a situation, you know, i.e. divorce kind of thing, leaving your home, moving to another one, deciding to get a new apartment, moving cities even. Just make sure that the practicality of things is assessed well. Another thing that's being called upon this month with this Taurus energy coming up is the need to examine what your beliefs around things are. And I think before proceeding, and especially with contracts, with relationships, with agreements, that kind of thing. And then also compare to, how did you do things in the past, in a good and a bad way? And always stay mindful, despite this Neptunian haziness, okay? And probably the temptation, the toxic temptation to maybe not stand your ground when you should, or to fall into old cycles. Really examine, where is your emotional security coming from? Where is your security coming from? What is it that you really do believe in? Like, stick to your morals. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the reading. Like, stick to your character. Don't let something take you away from who you are, what you believe. Going to be super important. With 4th house issues coming up, that's like, what did you do in the past? In the good and the bad? What result did it make? Did it make you feel secure? And what is security and stability to you? What is home? What is your home base? You know, it doesn't have to be a place. It doesn't have to be, you know, a brick and mortar place. Home can be a person, you know, but you have to know what it is that you mean. And you may be needing to provide support to others, whole nother aspect of the reading here, especially with what's being shown here. In the past, with this Queen of Pentacles and 5 of Cups, that could be someone over relying on your caregiving, caretaking, nannying them. Is that it is, you know, because it's the mother with this can't get right energy, basically. So if you had somebody that wasn't like, with the devil here too, I'm seeing kind of like a codependent. You're doing too much for somebody at the detriment of yourself, okay, to lead to a temporary success for a cycle to fall back into toxic patterns, okay? This can be changed. Please do not base your entire life on a tarot reading. This is just reading the energies. If nothing were to change and everything were to continue on the trajectory that it's on, of where you could end up. Kind of the energy that's in the ether at this point in time, or if you continue on your same path, doing the same things that you have without looking at your input on it, okay? And we'll get into that with Never Ending Story here. Your reactions to things are making this the way it is, okay, with this codependency story. If you continue to do this with this person, it's going to go back into the same cycle. It's coming from a great place. I'm sure that you want to save them, help them, lift them up, bring them with you. You know, if you are doing well in life, you don't want to see people falling behind you or suffering, you know, like you just want to help people. And that's understandable, but sometimes you have to make people help themselves. And that can be that energy of Six of Wands. You understanding that you can't do everything for everybody. So put that energy to yourself to avoid toxicity in the future. Let go of toxic cycles like that. It's sort of the message I'm getting here. The bottom of the deck story sort of goes with it. So another element here, if you guys are in a long-term happy bond, which I kind of doubt if you're watching tarot, not to be judgy, but I mean, you know, maybe you're looking for just, you know, financial messages or whatever. But if you happen to be in a long-term happy relationship, be really careful of temptation being brought in basically on the part of your partner or you. I see these energies as interchangeable. And it doesn't even, I don't necessarily get the energy 1000% that it's just about a person. This could be your partner falling into a toxic, destructive cycle, sort of. Alcoholism, drug abuse, gambling addiction, porn addiction, sex addiction, that kind of, there's that kind of, and there's just an obsessive, toxic thing there. This can be another person, but I kind of see it more as like a vibe. Like, if you're in a union, I would be careful to not slip into things that ultimately don't support the union and don't support your life path as individuals. Your affirmation from the universe is, the key to prayer is to forget what I think I need. And that's super important, is not demanding that your manifestations show up in the exact way that you expect, because sometimes you can kind of make things go awry. If you believe in law of attraction, by being over demanding about the specifics of something, if you want to bring in something to you, make yourself a vibrational attuned match to that and stay in that energy, but without being too specific. If any of you guys have ever watched Abraham Hicks or follow that at all, Esther's always saying, go general, more general, more general. Like, start with, I like this, I feel happy, you know, that kind of thing. Getting too specific can really cause some issues. I feel like that's the only way that the universe has ever kind of messed up or like makes a mistake, is if you're too specific about things, it kind of makes you reject the blessings that may be right in front of your face that you don't see that are there. All right, so Never Ending Story. We're going to get into this. This card is super important in this whole thing, regardless of what your story was with this reading. Did this have to do with your relationship? Is it a past one? Is it you're moving out of a toxic cycle? You're trying to break codependency? You're dealing with an addicted person, that kind of thing. with this law of attraction message here in the prayer message, prayer, however you believe, we'll put it that way, whatever your belief system is. Can you look at what the narrative is in your head that's playing over and over? When you are presented with situations, do you automatically default to a script from a previous cycle that was damaging of this person is going to hurt me, or this is going to go bad, or I can't trust these people because, or this happened before, so it's going to happen again. That type of thinking. And it can be down to just small little things all throughout the day. I don't mean in this grand scheme of like, oh, a relationship. This is just the narrative that's playing in your head all the time. Often is based, for a lot of people, from a place of pain and avoidance and fears. But if you're focusing on pain and avoidance and fears all the time, there's a good chance that you're making yourself vibrationally attuned to those things, and you're going to get more of the same. I'm not saying that people cause their own suffering, but what I am saying is that maybe your reactions are going to respond to the things that you're thinking that can in turn begin to cause situations to have tensions that otherwise would not be there. And if you are looking for something awful all the time and you're just digging and digging and digging, you're going to find something. It's just facts. And like I said, regardless of your belief systems, never-ending story is the never-ending story in your head of negativity and replaying old traumas and hurts, and basically living in a force field where you are reacting in real time as if that stuff is happening because it happened before. So Spirit's trying to tell you to, be careful of that, because that's devil energy too, is feeling chained to this stuff, feeling like it's never going to be any different, feeling like there's not a way out. This is stuck, and you're not. Like, the people and the devil really just have to walk away. I think the shackles are so loose they could just step out of them and just fucking walk away. That's all they got to do. And that's the point here. So look at your thinking this month about whatever it is that you're dealing with. And especially if you're dealing with codependent cycles, toxic cycles, if you're still there, I definitely say align yourself, but look at how much are you enabling? What is your participation in the situation? I'm not blaming you for any kind of abuse that you may endure or anything. Never put up with that out of somebody else. But what I am saying is that you need to look at yourself. There's always more than one person in every situation, period. But I am going to leave the reading there. I hope that those of you that needed it got your message. Oh, you know what? I lied. I was going to read something. Neverending Story has, wait a minute, was it Co-Create I wanted to read? It was Neverending Story. Yeah, the wounded ego, unnecessary drama, self-criticism. There's a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells you of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. And the old story, whose refrain is that you cannot do this and you must not go there, you shouldn't say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie. It wants to protect you, and it needs to be seen as a victim so it can feel safe. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being your true self. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable, but easily soothed. So I thought that was important. And, oh, this was the message this is the relationship message on Never Ending Story. Sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, low self-esteem are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship, which is all internal on us. You know, that is your own issues that you project out that create a problem in a union. Consider how valuable this knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for very important healing, but you must reflect on the stories that you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. So don't keep telling yourself all of the negative things. If you are beginning a new cycle, beginning a new relationship, feeling, you know, on high right now, or like, let's say you start dating, or you've just met somebody, or even, you know, you've been with somebody for a while, these issues I'm reading about can really, really ruin things that otherwise could be okay if you let your mind get away with you, basically, and let your own insecurities cause a problem. So anyway, to finish up, have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. So it's just calling, with Never Ending Story, it's definitely about healing your inner voices, being very mindful of the narrative and the stories that you're telling yourself throughout the day and the days. But I'm going to end it there. Hopefully you got a message. If you liked this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. And I will talk to you guys next month. Bye.